Yo, what's up, all you burner stones and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm good. You get a good. That's it. I'm just good.
Hey, all you vipers out there, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. We are smoking Blue Zushi, grown by our friend Ignius, and it is an indica-dominant hybrid. 60-40 indica sativa. Blue Zushi is a slightly indica-dominant hybrid strain, 60-40, created through crossing the delicious Skittles and Cushman strains, known for its gorgeous appearance, pretty well-balanced high. Blue Zushi is perfect for any indica lover. This bud has small and fluffy rounded forest green nugs and deep blue undertones, vivid orange hairs, and a thick frosted coating of gorgeous tiny blue tinted white crystal trichomes. As you pull apart each sparkling little nugget, aromas of spicy flowers and rich earthy pine are released, almost like walking through the forest of a rainstorm. The flavor is of sweet earth and spicy flowers with mellow herbal tea-like taste that lingers on the tongue. The Blue Zushi is high, comes on with a slow sneaking creep, sneaking into you before launching you into the lifted and energized state. You'll feel a budding euphoria accompanied by tiny, tingly, buzzy body high that quickly makes your energy level U-turn into deep relaxation and ease. With these full-bodied effects and its 13 to 20% average THC level, Blue Zushi is often chosen to treat conditions such as eye pressure, glaucoma, appetite loss or nausea, spasticity, chronic stress, and chronic pain. Effects: body high, relaxing, tingly. Relief symptoms as chronic pain, eye pressure, glaucoma, and stress. Flavors are pine, spicy, and woody. Aromas are earthy, flower, herbal, pine, spicy, and woody. Blue Zushi, grown by our friend Ignius.
Like some?
Yes. I will say this. We had this under the microscope, and it was blue tinted. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then also when I was rolling it today, trimming it and cutting it today, putting this joint, I actually was feeling the bud. It's very, very, very nice on the fingers. It's, I was trying to describe, like, it's very spongy / like just tickled my fingers. It was very weird. It was a very, very strange strain. Like, it was beautiful when we looked under the microscope too, but it has a blue tint to it. And remember I said on a prior episode I've always wanted to smoke. I've seen blue strains before, but never got a chance to smoke one. Thank you, Ignius, for making my dream come true.
It is a pretty flower.
Yes, it's very nice. It's very, very nice. Oh, it tastes so good, too. Guess what we got invited back to?
You tell me.
Brunch of Stoners. Thank you, Felix and Elena, for inviting us back this year for our second year, and we're going to be there, the Chicago unofficial 420 pre-party on April 6th from 11 to 3 p.m. in the Pilsen neighborhood. Multiple food stations, consumption stations, and plenty of activities for all of us to have fun with. Craft brands, large brands, independent dispensaries, and local artisans will be there. VIP tickets available. Use promo code WM420, all caps, for $20 off each ticket. Check out Brunch of Stoners. We'll hope to see you there. Mr. and Mrs. Weedman will be there with our full 8 decades table. Mr. Weedman will be rolling doinks. Mrs. Weedman will be telling you some stories, and we'll be having some fun. So we'll look forward to see you there April 6th from 11 to 3 at Brunch of Stoners.
Yep. And they usually release the address via email a day or two before the event.
It went out.
So.
I was talking too much.
Would you like me to light it?
I'm good for a second. You want to know why?
Oh.
Because I met a new friend a couple months ago. His name is Berwin, and he started his own company, edible company, called I Got the Munchies. And if you like lollipops, lollipop, lollipop, oh la la lolly, lollipop, boom, boom, boom. Berwin, these things are great. Veteran-owned, social equity edible company. Check out all your local dispos to see if they're on the menu. And if not, ask them to bring in I Got the Munchies lollipops. I'm having a fruit punch. What are you having? At green apple?
I think so. I don't know.
I think it's
time
green,
when
your
eating.
taste buds. You want to switch?
Very good. They're
Yeah.
25 milligrams. I had one the other day, and I just kind of just would put it in my mouth for a couple minutes at a time. Couple minutes, put it back in the wrapper, go back a couple hour later, whatever, and I just ate it throughout the day and just maintained like a nice little.
Yeah, and you had grape, and grape was good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not 25 milligram all at once. We're 10, 15. On maybe take it throughout the day. But These are nice. I like them that you can suck on them for a little while, like you said, put it back in the wrapper, save it for later. If you're not a high dose, you can microdose it yourself. Just manage your suck time.
It's hard. Don't forget. Like if you cannot tolerate 10 milligrams or 15, 20, 25, like remember, like suck on it for a minute or two and put it away.
Yeah, these are good. Berwin, congratulations on starting your company a couple months ago. They're really good. Hopefully you do well, my friend. And check them out. I got the munchies.
The sound effects are going to be wonderful for the show. Sorry, anyone who hates the sound of people eating.
Yeah, I won't be eating any more throughout the show. We just wanted to do it for the commercial. Mrs. Weedman might take a...
I might feel that. Okay, sorry.
So,
very good.
Yeah, it's very good. Thank you, Berwin, for throwing us some samples. We appreciate you. Friday night, last Friday, March 7th, we went to see a DJ that we like very much at Daily Bread. And we saw, before Daily Bread was Luminous, right?
We never went back and
It wasn't
looked
Lucian, it was Lumin. I think it was Luminous.
Okay.
Very good. Both of them were very good. The concert started at what time? 10
at 10
p.m.
o'clock. Doors opened.
Doors
at 10.
opened at 10. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Weedman, we can hang, we can party, we can go, right? We get there at 10. Doors open. First DJ starts. I don't remember the first DJ's name.
Lumasi was the second one.
Okay.
Lumasi.
Say it again.
Lumasi.
Check that DJ
and
out.
Yoko was the first
Yoko,
one.
okay. Yoko was good. Lumasi was, oh my God, took you to another level.
Great.
Like, took you to a distant, beyond far land for a second there. It was a storytelling DJ. He brought you up, he brought you down, he brought you around. It was really good. And then Daily Bread didn't go on till like 12:15. And I was looking at Mrs. Weedman going, we got another like 2 more hours of this. Are we going to make it? We found a nice little spot. We went and got baked, found a nice little spot. And we had great angle looking at the stage. We were like 4 feet from the stage. Amazing. By 1:30 though, I was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great show, but it was like, I'm losing my mojo.
Yeah, I was ready to go. You were starting to feel it in your back. My knees were starting to feel it. Because we were dancing, having a good time, but standing on that hard floor from 10 till 1:30, I was like, oh, man. And then you looked at me, you're like, you ready? I'm like, one more song? You're like, okay. We were out of there at 1:45. Home by 2:20, in bed probably by 3 o'clock in the morning.
I thought I'd never be the person who's not even old complaining about old people stuff, but it's happening. Little by little, every year, I'm like, oh, this is the stuff I used to roll my eyes about when other people that were older than me would say. Oh, my knees hurt. Oh, I can't sleep. Oh, I got to get up and pee.
We felt it. We felt it.
Hot flashes. Oh,
we felt
more
it.
hot flashes.
My
back.
We got home. We had a snack. Got stoned one more.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think we smoked them. I think we were done. I don't even know if I ate an edible or nothing. I think I was just ready for.
Just crashed.
I think I was ready for bed.
Yeah.
We went in bed, and the next morning we woke up. My body was
tight.
It was tight. I had to stretch and get a little loosey, and what was even worse, it was spring ahead.
Yeah, we lost.
We lost
time.
an hour on Sunday too, so it was like our sleep pattern was all jacked up.
And we have March Madness. We have a family full of March birthdays.
Oh my
and we were
gosh,
having a
yes.
family party,
Oh, yeah.
so we had to cook. We
I
had
cooked
to
on
clean.
Saturday.
We had to entertain.
Yeah.
So there was no extra
rest,
time.
No rest.
No rest.
And Mr. and Mrs. Weedman are now a little under the weather.
Now we got the sniffles.
We got the sniffles.
I'll have my lollipop. I'll feel better.
So it was a great weekend. Lots of fun at Daily Bread. I probably will never go to another late night concert like that again, though. I'd rather go to a concert that starts at 9 and ends at midnight. And be home, get a snack, get a red hot ranch burger, and head home.
I drove past there yesterday and I was like, oh.
You didn't stop?
It was too early for lunch.
Wow. What time was it?
It was like 11:30.
That's not early. Some people
can't
eat
eat
lunch
a
at
burger.
11:30.
I just couldn't do a burger at 11:30.
Wow. You could have brought one home for me. Oh, I dream about that burger way too much. So, kind of funny. I've been saying this for a few years now, and 420 is coming up, and it is the Stoner Burner Pothead holiday. And I've been saying this for a hot minute now that I believe that 420, there should be no cannabis businesses open. All the people in the industry should have one day off. A lot of dispensaries are open 365 days a year. You know, a lot of them are open holidays. This is the one holiday that the Stoner Burner Pothead cannabis employees, even owners, it should be whether it's on Easter this year or any other day, it should be the 1 year we get to celebrate cannabis.
The one day.
The one day we all have off. Like we get to all come together and party it up, have fun, do events, whatever. It shouldn't be a working holiday. Make your money the week before, the day after, 421, whatever, and do a 421 special, whatever you got left over. Do something different. Give the community a chance to have a day to enjoy. And that is the day. That is the stoner burner pothead holiday. I've celebrated 420 for years now, and I enjoy that day. I don't want to work that day, and I won't be working this year because it's Easter. But regardless if it wasn't Easter or not, it should be the one day we have off to enjoy this plant and the history of this plant and not make a profit or a margin on this plant for one day. Let's enjoy this plant, and it should be a holiday around the world, and we should all be able to enjoy and have a day off. Opinion on that, Mrs. Weedman? You think I'm crazy?
Yeah, because then for all the stoners who need weed and are out on
Go on the
420,
19th.
But not everybody's Mr. Weedman. There's people like me who would get it. I'd be running late to go to the place I'm going to, and I'd have to stop to get my weed.
Close by noon then.
Yeah. Early hours. Yes.
Open at 8 and close at noon, and give everybody the rest of the day off. All right? Run your promos.
I like the idea, but I think there's a lot of people that would be the day that they like. Maybe that's the day a lot of people want to try it for the first time, and they have to go buy it.
If you can't find a party that people are having weed at, then you got issues. Okay? There's people around that everybody. I don't know anybody anymore that doesn't have some kind of weed on them or edible on them or pen on them or whatever. Close at noon. All right, give the rest of the. I just something I felt for years. I've always took off on 420. And especially since I worked for the brewery from 2013. It was a holiday for me. We used to do a thing called Skunk Bus. And tour the city and with a bunch of stoner burner potheads just smoking weed on a bus and visiting bars and having a great time. And I just feel it's that day where it was just like should be for us. Not all these corporate heads that don't even know where the term 420 came from. Oh, it's a holiday. Oh, stoners love 420. Wonder why? It's not even the date either. It's every day at 4:20 p.m. is our moment. So, but I just is something I feel strongly about, and I'll talk about it every year moving forward. Maybe one day I'll get lucky and it'll happen. I know. If I owned a dispensary, or if I would throw a big party instead. Like I said, open till 12, or if not, forget it. Just throw a big party somewhere and let everyone come enjoy themselves. That's just just me. Oh no, Berwin, your munchies fell. Oh no, there we go. So sorry, everybody. The bag that we have on our table, if you're not watching on YouTube, the bag of munchies fell. Sorry about that, Berwin.
Sorry.
There was a funny article, and would you pay $87,840 for a Cheeto?
No.
Now wait. There's some now a Cheeto. You wouldn't?
No.
Would you pay $87,840 for a Cheeto Zard?
No. But you need to explain what that is.
Somebody did. Somebody paid $87,840. You remember Pokemon, right? Mm-hmm. You remember Charizard, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's yes,
dragon.
Yes, and
was he yellow?
There's
Was he
orange,
yellow?
Orange. Yeah, he's a fire sign. Yes, fire. And they found a Cheeto that was shaped supposedly like
I saw it.
Charizard.
If it was by itself, I wouldn't be like, "Oh my God, Charizard!" But on the Pokemon card with a Pokemon name, what was it, Cheetazard or something?
Cheetozard, yep, 120 hit points in a case, in an airtight lock case, in another airtight lock case.
But I mean, to have that kind of money to spend on a Cheeto, you're not a normal person. You've got.
There were 60 bids in auction for this fucking thing.
There were 60 people willing to pay.
60 bids on a uniquely shaped snack.
Who had $87,000 to spend on a Cheeto? I want to know, and I want to know what else they have in their collection. Do they just collect food items shaped as people and places? Do they collect just Pokemon?
Why?
Do they collect all anime?
I don't understand.
Right?
I mean, what happens if your buddy came in stoned one day and saw it about an 8?
Well, they would have had to break all of the many levels of
The
security.
two cases that
Yeah.
it's in, the airtight case and
Yeah.
another airtight case that has
Gosh.
the
Well, there was a I should look it up. There was a piece of toast that this woman toasted in a upright toaster.
Yes.
And it came out and looked like Jesus.
Gee, I remember that. Yes.
And they had like the news at the house, and I think she got like something like $100,000 for the Jesus toast. How much was the Jesus toast?
How much did a Jesus toast go for?
Let's see. It sold for. It's now listed on eBay for $25,000. I thought it sold.
Cheetos got the Jesus beat.
Cheetos are
Cheetos
and higher demand than Jesus.
Cheetos got Jesus beat.
By a lot of money and a lot of
Sorry,
time.
Jesus.
A lot of time. This has
People
been
like-
on the market since 2017.
Yeah, still
If
trying
that
to
was a
sell.
house, I'd be like, maybe you need to rethink some things. We might need to redecorate.
Cheetos are. Beat out Jesus.
Cheetos are by
You're
far.
all a bunch of sinners out there. You're
Dang.
60 people that bid it on
Heathens.
Cheetos.
We're all a bunch of heathens. Damn it.
All right. You ready to get the show started?
I am.
Before we
Before we
I call
just
the heathens.
derail this whole program. Take it to a whole different place.
That's it. You know, marijuana is helping those over 65.
Good.
We've talked about this before. As people age, their body develops more issues. Marijuana can help and pause or manage some of the problems. Marijuana is helping those over 65 to continue living their best life. Cannabis has become an increasingly popular treatment option for older adults who often suffer from chronic health conditions. These conditions include chronic pain, sleep disorders, anxiety, various neurological symptoms. In fact, the AARP has begun helping their memberships unlock the benefits of marijuana to improve day-to-day existence. This move is allowing boomers to travel, play, and have fun with their friends and family. From chronic pain to trouble sleeping, consumed in the right doses, marijuana can be beneficial. One of the areas it can help is in intimacy. The benefits of the green plant can help some seniors with sex by reducing pain and distraction. Cannabis-infused topicals can help with pain for arthritis, stiffness, or injuries. It can help people get out of their heads and be more persistent with their partners, giving more focus in their moment, allowing things to flow better. And like food and music, marijuana can increase sensitivity to touch and enhance sensory perception. While it isn't approved for erectile dysfunction, it can remove other barriers. Medical marijuana is effective in managing chronic pain, which is common among older adults. Studies have shown that significant percentage of participants experience pain relief when using medical marijuana. It can help manage symptoms associated with neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease and neuropathy. Many older adults use cannabis to alleviate sleep disturbances. Research indicates that a substantial number of users report improved sleep quality. It can also be used to treat anxiety and depression, providing relief from mental health concerns that are prevalent to the age group. One of the significant benefits observed in the reduction in opioid use among older adults. Studies have shown that many participants decreased their reliance on opioid pain medications and starting medical marijuana treatment. You know, there's 144 million people on opioids, in I don't know if it's the world or the United States.
That's crazy.
140. I think it was the
That's a
United
lot.
States. Yeah, or prescriptions. 144 million prescriptions.
Opioid prescriptions?
Yes, I have it. I think on another article coming up,
crazy.
but that's what or something I read yesterday. So, Gen Z tends to use cannabis to relieve anxiety and feel happier. The plant releases dopamine, which is one of the sources of happiness. Dosing is a key factor to hitting the right spot. Despite the promising results, there is still lack of comprehensive research on the efficiency and safety of medical marijuana in older adults. More randomized controlled studies are needed to fully understand its benefits and risk. Additionally, concerned about cardiovascular risks associated with marijuana use highlights the need for cautious use and monitoring in older adults. Yes, a lot of the older folks, 65 and up, maybe you've never smoked cannabis before, maybe smoked it back in the 60s, early 70s. It ain't the same. They
Yep.
don't know what they don't know. We need to do better and teach them how to use cannabis. These 55 and older communities that people are now experimenting with, some people have gotten fucked up on some edibles and stuff and not knowing the dosage and what it all means. So I'm suggesting that as we grow and more older folks use cannabis on a daily basis, we need to be better at teaching them. So give them our podcast. It'll help. The surprising link between cannabis and better orgasms.
Yeah.
How weed can improve your sex life. And this is this year marks the 20th anniversary of the gender orgasm gap entering public discourse as a growing body of research points to the potential for cannabis as a catalyst for climax. And men, after I got done reading this article, we need to do better. We need to do a lot better.
Yeah,
So-
weed isn't the only thing needed.
Right. We need to do better.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Weedman, take it away.
Yeah. Surprise. That was the overwhelming emotion that Sonia recalled as she laid back on her bed that day in June, the sensations of an orgasm, one of only a handful that she'd ever experienced during penetrative sex, now retreating from her body. I wasn't in my head as usual, says the 42-year-old marketing executive of that memorable encounter with her then partner of 18 months. Instead, I was present, in the moment, in touch with all of my heightened bodily sensations, and it just happened. The catalyst that Sonia credits with transporting her out of her brain and into her body? A bite of the brownie her partner baked just for the occasion. I knew from experimentation and through online research that at just the right dose, cannabis can help calm my mental chatter, adds Sonia, describing how her interest in the drug's pleasure-enhancing power was piqued. Armed with evidence, like the 2019 study published in the journal Sexual Medicine, finding that women who used cannabis before sex were twice as likely to report satisfactory orgasms, and the 2023 paper in the Journal of Cannabis Research showing that 70% of users experienced increased orgasm intensity, Sonia decided to book herself an appointment with her general practitioner. Last year, Connecticut became the first U.S. state to approve cannabis for treating female orgasm difficulty disorder, also known as anorgasmia, which is defined as delayed, infrequent, or absent orgasms. I used the anxiety and depression I was also suffering with as a way into that conversation with my general practitioner, recalls Sonia. But the fact that her symptoms did not align with the specific condition for which doctors can prescribe medical cannabis, that meant her request was refused. Unwilling to keep sourcing the drug illegally, the criminality aspect sat uneasy with her. Sonia gave up on cannabis. That's so disappointing. And her inability to orgasm through penetrative sex took a toll on her relationship with her now ex-partner. We both felt like a bit of a failure, she admits. I began avoiding sex to avoid the pressure followed by his disappointment. Had she been able to access cannabis legally at a dose that worked for her, she wonders if this story might have ended differently. Sonia's story isn't unique. It's far from it. This year, the gender orgasm gap, the name for the considerable difference in the number of men who routinely climax during sex compared with women, turns 20. The gap was first laid out in a 2005 study by Lisa Wade, Associate Professor of Sociology at Tulane University in New Orleans. Research into the mind-body benefits of regular release is revealing what any woman who's ever reached orgasm knows. It's a healthy habit. Wade's study found that among 833 heterosexual student participants, 91% of men achieved orgasm, compared with just 39% of women. Such figures weren't dissimilar to a YouGov poll in 2022, which found that 61% of men, but only 30% of women, said they climaxed every time they had sex. The gap appeared wider still in a 2023 survey by the digital health platform Hims and Hers, in which 15% of the UK women reported had never orgasmed alone or with a partner. Not even alone? Wow, that's a problem. And if you greet the news that we're now in our third decade, I mean, it's one thing if your partner can't do it, but you should be able to do it for yourself. Wow, that would suck. And if you greet the news that we're now in our third decade of documented orgasmic deficit with a shrug of the shoulders, then hear this. Research into the mind-body benefits of regular release is revealing that orgasms really are a healthy habit. The orgasm delivers multiple benefits to mental and physical health, says clinical sexologist Marie Maurice, describing the mix of feel-good brain chemicals released, such as dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, as well as raised levels of estrogen and reduced cortisol levels. Alongside boosted mood, bolstered immunity, enhanced sleep, and glowing skin, the orgasm can ease menstrual pain and improve memory and problem-solving skills. And yet, the female orgasm's PR problem persists. Let's get back to Connecticut. And when the state passed the law legalizing medical marijuana for female organic disorder last June, it was also legalized for treating autism spectrum disorder. But only one condition made the news bulletins, of course. It feels indicative of how we as a society still feel about female pleasure, that autism alone made the headlines, says Suzanne Mulvihill, founder of the nonprofit organization, the Female Orgasm Research Institute. She describes leading the stateside campaign for cannabis, helping more women access a fulfilling sex life as her life mission. As the female orgasm gap comes of age, it is her mission for it to be realized, that this all, gets fixed. Come on. Suzanne's story starts with much... Oh, I'm suddenly can't even read a sentence. It's like I get to this certain point of being high where all the words I'm reading in different orders. All right, start at the beginning. Susan. Okay, this is Suzanne we're talking about. Her story starts in much the same way as Sonia's. The mother of two, now in her 60s, had struggled to orgasm for over 30 years and had seen 4 sex therapists by the time she came across research into the role that cannabis could play in 2018. At first, she was hesitant. Overuse of the drug by a friend left her feeling cautious about its side effects. But through experimenting with doses, which she smoked, she found she was able to climax. The first time it happened, she burst into tears. Well, I don't blame her. I had lived so long with so much shame, isolation, and stigma. It was like a rebirthing. I bet it was.
I bet the release was fantastic.
Yeah. The moment was so transformative that she sold her family business, an international tropical plant company, and she returned to university to study for a PhD. See how motivating cannabis can be? She got her PhD in clinical sexology.
Good for her.
The practice of psychosexual and relationship therapy. It involves supporting people in addressing the sexual concerns that are impacting their relationships and lives. Last May, Suzanne published her research. The study, which appeared in the journal Sexual Medicine, involved interviews with over 400 women. Among them, some experienced challenges achieving climax. 67% stated that cannabis improved orgasm satisfaction, and 71% said that it made reaching orgasm easier. There are some theories about why the drug may help. Women have told me during my research that their mental walls go down, notes Suzanne, who credits cannabis with helping her be fully present in her body too. The most likely explanation, she shares, is the altered state of consciousness theory, in which cannabis encourages us to be surrendered to our body, into our bodies. This is believed to be particularly helpful for women with a history of sexual abuse or where their alarm bells are going off during sex. They're staying in the prefrontal cortex, which doesn't help them feel into their body. Then there's the absorbed state of consciousness theory, the idea that women need to be in an absorbed state to orgasm. Or the dishabituation theory, which poses that the drug prevents cognitive distraction. And the amygdala reduction theory, which suggests that the drug reduces activity in the brain's amygdala, the almond-shaped region that processes feelings such as anxiety and fear. But all of these theories are just that. The research we have done so far has been observational. There haven't been clinical trials yet, Suzanne adds, referring to the kind of study that's considered the gold standard within research. This is due to restrictions from the U.S. government, but I do hope that'll change. While research into the link between cannabis and sexual pleasure began more than half a century ago, Suzanne points to Barbara Lewis's evidence-based book, The Sexual Power of Marijuana, published in 1970. The progress since has been as substantial as a puff of smoke. There is robust survey data, valid scientific research that cannabis helps women orgasm, she says. But while scientists first realized this decades ago, it's only now being put into policy. Of course, it isn't just the cannabis component that's caused this corner of science to move at a snail's pace. There's not been as much research into women's bodies as men's bodies in general. And I do think that's reflected in the gender pleasure gap, says Maurice. To this day, erectile dysfunction dwarfs the studies into female orgasm disorder, or FOD, or FOD. Suzanne points out that there are just 13 completed studies on women with orgasm difficulty, compared to 378. Because that's the same.
What does that make? That doesn't make any sense.
So, okay. This is a fact that I just recently learned, and it never dawned on me. I just thought studies on a medication, studies on a behavior, studies on whatever it is they're trying to figure out were always supposed to be, diverse,
right,
in the people being tested and studied, or unless they're studying a specific population.
Right.
But I always thought there had to be kind of like this equal representation. Well, apparently, medications and foods and things of that nature aren't tested on women because of our hormonal problems, where men just tend to be up until middle age. Your hormones are just, they do what they do. And then maybe you have, like a dip in your progesterone or your testosterone when you're older, after, your 50s or something. But it doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. Okay, there's your testosterone. You clearly don't have a problem.
Just kidding.
But so they can't get they get more accurate data apparently from studying men. So here I am in middle age, menopause, and complaining all the time of the ways that I feel, and like it's mind-boggling that women don't talk about these things because we were also trained.
Right.
Like the medical system doesn't use us for studies, but we've also been kind of conditioned that we shouldn't talk about our health.
So weird.
So 13 studies on women for orgasm difficulty and 378 on men. Go figure. For erectile dysfunction. And that magical little blue pill that they sell, right? I guess that's probably where a lot of those 378 studies come from. A database of clinical trials maintained by the National Library of Medicine in the U.S. is where this information came from. It's called clinicaltrials.gov. So what do we know about why sex can be an anticlimactic experience for so many women? For Miranda Christophers, sex and relationships psychotherapist and founder of the Therapy Yard, there's no single answer. More pertinent, experts say, is the absence of proper sex education, the kind that goes beyond condoms on bananas and delves into topics like the anatomy of the clitoral unit and the many ways in which you can have sex, be it partnered or solo. There's this persistent idea that sex is something that a partner does to you, says Lara Raybone, a self-love and embodiment coach who transformed her approach to sex in her 30s. When I was younger, I would have allowed a man to penetrate me before I was actually ready, which then makes it harder to orgasm. But orgasm has also been modeled on what it looks like for men. Once you've reframed the fundamentals, technique is key, but is a far cry from contorting into different sex positions.
Contorting.
The arousal circuit is made up of the mind, body, and emotions, explains Christophers. If one isn't connecting, it can cause a break in the circuit. Emotions are about feeling safe and relaxed, while the body needs the right sensation and stimulation from touch. Not everyone knows what works for themselves, let alone their partner knowing, right? She explains. The mind is about being fully able to let go. If there's a dog barking, a child calling out, emails that still need to be sent, or worries about orgasming, she said, right? Those are all things that break the circuit. So If cannabis for FOD is in the UK's future, then Christopher's suspects it will take time. It's often down to funding, she says. January saw the state of Illinois approve medical cannabis for FOD alongside endometriosis, ovarian cysts, and fibroids. Deliberations, meanwhile, continue in New Mexico, Arkansas, and Oregon. But even if new laws are passed, the work is far from being complete, insists Suzanne. Women need to be given tools to know how to use cannabis, such as dosage, and whether some might need to simultaneously be working with a therapist. Oh no, my article just crashed. Wait, hang on. Developing on a training program. It is a diagnosable condition that deserves proper treatment, not women trying to figure it out on their own. That work falls to both sexes. The fact that science is finally being put into policy is a big breakthrough, and it's giving women some hope. So let's hope that these studies continue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, get good at foreplay. It said it in there, right? So, using marijuana every day could help people quit opioids, new study finds. A newly published study found that among drug users who experience chronic pain, daily cannabis use was linked to a higher likelihood of quitting the use of opioids, especially among men. Participants reporting daily cannabis use exhibited higher rates of cessation compared to less frequent users or non-users, says the report, published last week in a Journal of Drug and Alcohol Review. When results were split by sex, researchers observed that the daily cannabis use was significantly associated with increased rates of opioid cessation among males. Those differences suggest potential differences in cannabis use behavior and effects, the paper says. They underscores a need for further research. The report was authored by the 8-person research team from the British Columbia Centre of Substance Abuse, as well as the University of British Columbia and Simon Fraser University. Between 2014 and May of 2022, the team examined data of 1,242 people who used drugs, PWD, while also living with chronic pain. Of course, 764 experienced cessation event. Daily cannabis use, it says, was positively associated with opioid cessation. Our findings add to the growing evidence supporting the potential benefits of cannabis use among PWD, underlining the need for further research, the author wrote. Indeed, a growing body of research to date has examined the association between cannabis reform and opioids, often finding reductions in opioid use in areas that legalize marijuana to medical or adult use. A recent funded study in the U.S., for example, found association between state-level marijuana legalization and reduced prescriptions of opioid pain medications among commercially insured adults, indicating a possible substitution effects where patients are choosing to use cannabis instead of prescription drugs to treat pain. That research was supported by a grant from the National Institute of Drug Abuse, looked at national records of opioid prescription fills, as well as prescribing of non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs and other pain medications. Analysts showed that prescription opioids filled following legalization in the U.S. while prescribing a non-opioid pain medication saw marginally significantly increases. A study published late last year, for example, found that legalizing medical cannabis appeared to significantly reduce monetary payments from opioid manufacturers to doctors who specialize in pain, with authors finding the evidence that decrease is due to medical marijuana becoming available as a substitute for prescription painkillers. Other recent research also showed a decline in fatal opioid overdoses in jurisdictions where marijuana was legalized for adults. The study found a consistent negative relationship between legalization and fatal overdoses, with more significant effects in states that legalized cannabis earlier in the opioid crisis. Authors estimated that recreational marijuana legalization is associated with a decrease of approximately 3.5 deaths per 100,000 individuals. Our findings suggest that broadening recreational marijuana excesses could help address the opioid epidemic, the report said. Previous research largely indicates that marijuana, primarily for medical use, can reduce opioid prescriptions, and we find it may also successfully reduce overdose deaths. Other recent research also indicates that cannabis may be an effective substitute for opioids in terms of pain management. A report published recently in the journal BMJ opened, for instance, compared to medical marijuana and opioids for chronic non-cancer pain and found that cannabis may be similarly effective and result in fewer discontinuations than opioids, potentially offering compared relief with a lower likelihood of adverse effects. Separate research published found that more than 57% of patients with chronic musculoskeletal pain said cannabis was more effective than other analgesic medications, while 40% have reported reducing the use of painkillers since they began using marijuana. Good stuff. Let's get off those opioids and get on the weed.
Yeah.
There's some banned ingredients in our edibles.
Yeah.
Tell us about them, Mrs. Weedman.
All right. Americans are looking more deeply at their food, especially its color. Artificial color dyes are taking a big hit in the States as toxicity comes into question. Oklahoma lawmakers are currently discussing a ban on 10 different artificial food dyes, and California passed legislation removing 6 dyes from snacks and meals served in schools. The federal government has also taken recent action banning Red 3 in ingested products. Meanwhile, snack makers may sense the trend as they update recipes with natural options. THC gummies and hard candies are on the list of foods to watch for those trying to cut out food dyes. There are some brands in the hemp and regulated markets whose products contain these artificial additives. However, there are companies taking on extra costs to go all natural. Wendy Baker, founder and CEO of California edible brand Space Gem, used the typical artificial dye from store-bought box when first starting out, but that quickly changed. As I researched, I discovered the additives weren't even vegan and had alarming effects on our health, linked to behavior changes, anger, cancer, and more, Baker told Green State. That realization led me to fully commit to using natural organic food colors. Red 40, found in Doritos, All Jell-O, Fruit Loops, and so much more, is made from petroleum byproducts and coal tar derivatives.
Hey, you want some coal?
Yum, yum. Research has shown it may cause DNA damage, colonic inflammation, and impact the gut microbiome. Chemicals are combined with petroleum byproducts to create yellow 5 and 6. These dyes are in bouillon, baked goods with yellow filling, Lucky Charms, and funfetti cakes. And again,
Why?
so much more.
Why?
They are, because we think colorful things are better. They are also linked to allergic reactions. Plenty of people have been moved to cut out artificial dyes after learning how manufacturers make the colors. This switch may increase their bottom line costs, but many brands are taking the jump anyway. Red 40 costs a few dollars, while organic food coloring rings up in the hundreds. The natural options can also be less concentrated, which means it takes more product to reach the desired hues. These dyes also require more careful handling than artificial options due to light and temperature sensitivities. This means it may elongate the manufacturing process and potentially shorten the shelf life of the dye itself. The shorter shelf life of natural dyes adds to the financial burden of specialty storage. More expensive or not, many brands are making the switch to plant-based. As Kanha CEO Cameron Clark is known to say, "If we wouldn't put it in our bodies, we wouldn't put it in yours." This mantra fuels their rigorous testing standards and use of natural plant-based dyes. Kanha uses real fruit, vegetables, and even algae in its colorful gummy products. Space Gem employs red currants, radishes, and hibiscus for its red candy belts and morsels. The brand Kiva is also on Team All Natural. Though they did not share their plant-based secrets, they did say they moved to natural dyes, and it was a no-brainer for a brand desiring to be at the forefront of consumer-focused quality and innovation. If we can make beautiful, colorful products with natural colors, why wouldn't we? Their senior research and development manager, Alex Cato, said to Green State, "Artificial colors are becoming a thing of the past." Making the jump from artificial food dyes to natural, vegan options can be expensive. Not every weed brand can afford to change its formulations, but they may want to fit it and make a way for it to get into the budget. The edibles world may be trending away from petroleum-based coloring options.
Thank God.
And those who don't want to make the switch may go the way of the dinosaurs. Well, I've been semi-dye free. I'd say probably consuming about 90% less food coloring
let's say
than
about 98%. The only time we have candy now is when we have a gummy at night or an edible from that's it.
Yeah,
And
but you'd be surprised at some things that dye
that's
is
true.
snuck into.
Yes, it is. But I would say about 95, 98%. You're probably,
good.
really good. Your skin looks refreshed.
Oh, I'm like a whole new woman, let me tell you.
Grief.
Ugh.
Grief sucks.
That's a roller coaster.
Yeah, grief sucks. Someone dying. Ms. Weedman is going to light up if we mention grief. We mentioned grief. How can cannabis help you through grief? We'll smoke right now. It'll get through some grief. Whether family, a friend, or beloved pet, the sadness can be overwhelming. Cannabis can help. It comes to everyone at some point. In population-based study of adults age 40 and older, approximately one-third reported they experienced severe grief after the loss of a loved one. It can be a family member, a friend, a beloved pet. Grief was associated with physical and mental health problems and increased use of health services. Additionally, about 7 to 10% of bereaved adults experience prolonged grief disorder, a persistent and impairing form of grief. It takes time to work through the emotions, but there is how cannabis can help you through grief. Grief is complex and deeply personal experience that can leave us feeling overwhelmed, lost, and struggling to cope with daily life. While there's no magic solution to the pain of loss, many individuals have found solace and support in an unexpected ally: cannabis. Do you want to know why?
Because there's angels in the leaves. I hesitated.
This plant, with its unique properties and compounds, may offer a gentle path to healing for those grappling with grief. One of the most challenging aspects of grief is the intense emotional roller coaster it often brings. Cannabis, particularly strains rich in CBD, have shown promise in reducing anxiety and easing panic attacks that can accompany grief. By interacting with the body and endocannabinoid system, cannabis can help regulate mood and promote a sense of calm, allowing individuals to process their emotions more effectively. Insomnia is a common companion to grief, leaving many exhausted and unable to face each day. Cannabinoids like CBN have sedative-like effects, potentially helping those in mourning achieve the restoration sleep they desperately need. By improving sleep quality, cannabis can contribute to overall emotion resilience and physical well-being during the grieving process. Grief doesn't just affect our emotions. It can manifest physically as well. Cannabis is shown to reduce inflammation and alleviate physical pain, which can be exacerbated during times of emotional distress. The dual action of both mind and body can prove comprehensive relief for those struggling with the holistic impact of loss. Unlike some substances that may numb emotions, cannabis has the potential to help individuals stay present with the grief. It can create a mental space where reflection becomes more tolerable, allowing for personal growth and healing. Many users report that cannabis helps them gain new perspectives on their loss and find meaning in their experiences. Loss of appetite is a common symptom of grief that can lead to further health complications. Cannabis is well known for its ability to stimulate appetite, which can be crucial for maintaining physical health during emotional challenging times. Everyone experiences with grief, and cannabis is unique. What works for one person may not work for others. Starting with low doses and working closely with the healthcare provider of cannabis clinician can help individuals find the right approach for specific needs. Grief is tough. It sucks. It could last a day. It could last years. Mm-hmm. You know? I know cannabis helps. So you were talking to me about a couple of days ago about I should get dentures. Don't you? Yes. And this article came up, and now I know I will never get dentures because of this article. Coating dentures with CBD can help prevent oral infections, government study found out.
Yeah. Do you need a lighter,
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Weedman?
Thank you.
All right. A newly published journal article says the cannabis component CBD could be effective to treat oral infections when incorporated into the primary material used in dentures. Published last month in the journal Molecules, the government-funded research says bonding CBD to dentures demonstrates potential for antibiotic-free denture coatings, reducing dentobiofilms and plaque formation, and improving oral health outcomes. The study, to study the properties of CBD in dentures, researchers incorporated the cannabinoid into a type of plastic known as polymethyl methacrylate, or PMMA,
Sounds like fun.
which they explain is the primary material for dentures due to its favorable physical and aesthetic qualities. Researchers then tested antimicrobial activity against 3 types of bacteria. Results showed that the CBD denture coating had significant bactericidal effects against so-called gram-positive bacteria. In terms of gram-negative bacteria, which are typically more resistant to antibiotics, the CBD coating was ineffective against free-floating so-called planktonic gram-negative bacteria, but effectively eliminated communities of bacteria known as biofilms. Biofilm studies revealed a 99% reduction in biofilm growth on CBD-infused PMMA compared to standard PMMA dentures. The report says the CBD disrupted bacterial cell ways, causing lysis, or the breakdown of the cell itself. In summary, authors wrote, biofilm studies showed PMMA with CBD coatings were effective in eradicating all the pathogens on their surface. This study showed that CBD can be incorporated into materials, enabling antibiotic-free dentures for preventing dental biofilms and reducing dental plaques. In some cases, the differences between CBD-infused plastic and normal PMMA were striking. The addition of CBD in the coatings provided a 99% reduction in biofilms, particular biofilms, and a 99.99% reduction in other biofilms, says the report. The paper appeared in a special issue of Molecules dedicated to the antibacterial applications of so-called intelligent polymer materials and was federally funded by the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada. This investigation presents a pioneering approach for the development of antibiotic-free coatings, offering an alternative to conventional methods, wrote the 5-author research team from Western University in Ontario, Canada. One area in need of further study is how to craft coatings that can release antibiofilm agents in a controlled, sustained manner, authors noted. This sustained release will maintain effective concentrations of CBD over an extended period, maximizing their ability to disrupt biofilms and eliminate bacteria within them, they said. Future research should also examine why the CBD coating was ineffective against planktonic bacteria, but successfully eradicated biofilms of the same bacteria. Well, cheers to another great study. Finding so many benefits coming from our favorite plant is just great news.
Yeah, it's great news. Great stuff. Do you want this joint back?
Oh, sure.
It's not lit anymore.
If you insist. It keeps going out.
Yeah, that's right.
Got problems.
I took 2 hits.
We got
and put
problems.
It, no, I took 2 hits and put it
They're
out.
good problems. I'll just smoke more.
There you go. Hey, everybody,
Okay.
check out 8decades.com, Mrs. Weedman's baby. Check out 8decades.com for all your cannabis accessories. We have the greatest smoking set ever. The greatest jars ever. Clothing line for both 8 Decades and Weedman 420 Chronicles. If you like a good steamroller, if you need a good hemp grinder or an aluminum grinder, we got them. We got your needs. We got tote bags. We got scarves, even though springtime's is here. We got hats. We got beanies. We got what you need. Stickers, pins. Check out 8decades.com and sign up for our email list, our newsletter list that Mrs. Weedman puts out once a quarter. So check out 8decades.com. Political, state, and business news. 2 out of 3 marijuana consumers are buying less cannabis due to inflation, poll finds. A recent poll by cannabis telehealth platform NugMD reveals that approximately 66% of marijuana consumers have reduced their cannabis spending due to inflation, while 34% reports no change in their expenditure. The survey, conducted from February 27 to March 2025, involved 518 participants and it has a margin of error 4.3 percentage points. This finding aligns with previous research. On February 2025 survey indicated nearly 7% of marijuana consumers plan to spend the same or more on cannabis in 2025 compared to the previous year. Overall, these insights suggest that while some consumers are cutting back on cannabis purchases due to inflation, a significant portion continues to allocate funds for cannabis, potentially prioritizing it despite economic pressure. DC's grace period for legal cannabis shops are over. Washington, D.C. has ended the grace period for illegal cannabis shops, setting a March 31st deadline for compliance with legal standards. Business failing to meet this deadline risk closures with enforcement measures, including inspections, drug testing, warning letters, cease and desist orders, and potential padlocking of non-compliant establishments. There's currently 33 dispensary applicants are expected to be operational and compliant by the deadline. To support the industry, DC plans to open additional testing labs. The crackdown began after the 2014 legalization of marijuana possession without legal sales, leading to the emergence of gift shops. Recent legislation empowers authorities to close and license businesses that pose public health and safety risks. Despite earlier criticisms of slow enforcement, efforts continue to transition gift shops into licensed retailers. Well, at least they're getting a license. They're not like what they did in New York where they just shut everybody down. You know, they didn't give them a chance to get a license. At least they're giving them a chance to say, hey, do it legally. We want you to stay open, right? That's pretty cool. Good for you, DC. Georgia lawmakers weigh broader access to medical marijuana, potentially expanding limited low THC programs. Georgia lawmakers are considering expanding the state's limited low THC medical marijuana program. Currently, the program allows patients with specific conditions to access cannabis oil containing no more than 5% THC. Legislators are now exploring broader access to which potentially can include medical conditions and increased availability products. Good for you, Georgia. Legal cannabis production increases by double digits in California. Legal cannabis production in California has increased, but the illicit market continues to thrive, according to the report from MJ Biz Daily. Despite the regulatory efforts and growth in the legal market, unlicensed operators still dominate due to lower prices and less regulation. So in California, you have the black market, and then you also have traditional market. People have been doing it since the 70s. You know, and then you have the black market, which black market is cartels, Chinese, whoever, doing big illegal grows, don't care, pesticides, whatever, get it, ship it, done, make our money, we're out to the next farm. So in the traditional market, they're business owners, right? They're trying to make a living. So one in California, you know, you need to like settle down a little bit, get rid of the shit, keep the good, you know. So law enforcement, though, is trying to curb illegal operations and have mixed results, and many advocates are calling for reform to reduce barriers, licensed businesses, and improve market conditions. So the smell of weed, though, is wreaking havoc in California. And due to cannabis cultivation, California residents are increasingly frustrated by overpowering smell of cannabis farms, which they say is impacting their quality of life. Cathedral City near Palm Springs has imposed a moratorium on new cannabis businesses after years of complaints about odors from the state's largest indoor cannabis farms. The farm owners are working with city on odor management solutions, but still expanding. Similar issues are occurring in Santa Barbara, where greenhouse growers are being urged to install costly carbon filters. Come on, Cali, it's good weed. It's good for you. It smells nice. California doles out another $18 million in cannabis social equity funding to cities and counties. Good job, California. The White House invites proposals on federal marijuana legalization, the activist says. The White House has invited proposals for federal marijuana legalization, according to the activist Howard Woodridge, and a longtime drug policy advocate met with the White House staffers during a conservative gathering where he encouraged to submit a proposal advocating for marijuana legalization. The proposal will focus on political advantage for Trump's administration, particularly from the state's rights perspective. Woodridge plans to submit a proposal by the end of the week for the help GOP lobbyist Don Murphy. Patients, providers, advocates gather in New York Capitol to cry deterioration of the medical cannabis program. Advocates and patients and providers gather in New York Capitol to protest the decline of the state's medical cannabis program. Since 2021, patients' numbers have decreased and dispensaries have closed, leaving 31 operational out of 80 required by law. The closures are particularly harmful to pediatric patients who rely on medical cannabis for severe conditions. Activists are calling for Governor Kathy Hochul and the legislature to take immediate actions to ensure better access to improve health quality. Veteran groups push for marijuana and psychedelic reform at during congressional hearings. Veterans groups are advocating for greater access to marijuana and psychedelics as alternative treatments for mental health conditions like PTSD. During congressional hearings, representatives from Iraq and Afghanistan, Veterans of America, IAVA, and Veterans of Foreign Affairs emphasized the need of cannabis and psychedelics as alternative to opioids to support legislatives like Marijuana Safe Harbor Act and Veterans Equal Access, which would allow VA doctors to recommend medical cannabis. Both groups also push for the research and access to psychedelics like MDMA and psilocybin. Kentucky lawmakers advanced Shell bill to ban sale of hemp-derived beverages until next year. And also in Kentucky, Cresco Labs to operate Kentucky's largest medical cannabis cultivation license. Local Cresco here in Illinois, growing bigger. Man, a guy like me can't even get a license in Kentucky. Fact check. Ohio GOP claims marijuana increases crime. It doesn't, legal experts say. Ohio Republican lawmakers have proposed legislation to restrict access to recreational marijuana, citing concerns about increased crime and addiction. House Speaker Matt Huffman suggested the greater marijuana availability would lead to crime and addiction issues. However, legal experts, including Chase Western Reverse University law professor and Joanne H. Aller, refute these claims. Professor Alder points out the studies from regions with legalized marijuana shows no significant rise in crime rates. Cleveland was promised marijuana tax money, and so was many other cities in Ohio. Where is it? Ohio cities, including Cleveland, are still waiting for marijuana tax revenue promised under the voter-approved recreational cannabis law. Although the states have collected $30 million in taxes, the funds have not been distributed to the cities due to ongoing debates among lawmakers. Cleveland expects to receive $410,000 in marijuana tax revenue in 2024, but Governor Mike DeWine proposed to redirect the funds. You want to know where?
Where?
You want to know where? To the police and the jail programs.
Because that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Has created uncertainty about the distribution. Negotiations are expected to continue until the state budget is finalized in June. House Republicans introduced their own plan for recreational marijuana in Ohio. So we read what the Senate did, and they were changing everything up because they don't care about the constituents in Ohio. But here, the House is at least doing something a little bit better. They're facing two competing proposals for the state's recreational marijuana market. The Senate plans to introduce through Senate Bill 56 reduces home grow limits, bans sharing home grow cannabis, and introduce stricter regulations of growing, smoking, and criminal penalties for renters. In contrast to House Bill proposed, House Bill 160 maintains the voter-approved home grow limits, keeps cannabis sales tax at 10%, and allows individuals to share homegrown cannabis. Both proposals align on capping dispensaries at $350 and regulating intoxicating hemp products. Lawmakers must reconcile the two plans before they can become law. Hurricane Helene rebuilding efforts gain unique cannabis ally. Zamnesia went out again.
My joint just keeps going up.
Zamnesia, a cannabis company, has launched the Art of Asheville design contest to support North Carolina's recovery from Hurricane Helena. The contest invites local artists to design a label for their new strain, Blue Ridge Haze Automatic. Proceeds from the product will go beloved Asheville, aiding hurricane victims. The winning design will receive significant exposure and prizes, including cannabis-related items. The contest emphasizes creativity and community support, with submissions due by April 1st. Court ruling allows Alabama. I'm so happy this is finally happening. Since 2021, you've all been waiting and hearing me say, roll tide. Court ruling allows Alabama medical cannabis licensing to proceed. A recent court ruling has cleared the way for Alabama to proceed with issuing licenses for medical cannabis programs. The decision allows the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission to move forward with the licensing process, which has previously been delayed due to legal challenges. The program aims to provide patients with access to medical cannabis treatments and expected to generate significant economic activity within the state. Yay, Alabama. Yay, Alabama. Oh, my God. We've been talking about you guys for a long time. So happy for you. Now, hopefully you can get some flour instead of suppositories.
Yeah,
It'd be great.
I hope so.
It would be great.
That'd
and
be
peach
great.
rings. And peach rings.
Yeah.
We're out again. That's okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's all right.
Problematic joint. Over here.
Idaho lawmakers advanced a resolution to block citizens from voting on cannabis legalization. Can you believe that? The House of passed resolution aims to amend the state's constitution by rolling back the democratic process of citizen-initiated ballot measures, Bill HJR 4. Idaho lawmakers have passed a resolution aiming to block citizens from voting on cannabis legalization by amending the state's constitution. House Joint Resolution 4 would grant only the legislature an authority to legalize marijuana and other psychoactive substances, eliminating the power of citizen-initiated ballot measures. The resolution, which still needs approval from Idaho Senate, has been met with opposition, with critics arguing its disregard to public support for cannabis legalization. Kind Idaho is attempting to petition aims to allow adults 21 years and older to possess 1 ounce of cannabis and 1,000 milligrams of THC for personal use and grow up to 12 plants in their homes. It would allow for cannabis sales. It would not allow for cannabis sales, whether commercial or private. So you just get to grow your own weed and carry an ounce on you. The nearly 30,000 Idahoans who cross the border weekly to participate in nearly $4 million in cannabis sales indicate that people are already making the choice for themselves and their health. Evans said the campaign statement referring to bordering states of Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and Montana, where adult use cannabis is legal. State lawmakers are well aware that their reefer madness views are out of step with most Idahoans, he said. That's why they are seeking to remove voters from the equation. That's just fucked up.
Yeah.
Whether or not one personally supports or opposes cannabis legalization, overly under tactics ought to be cause for deep concern. That's fucked up, Ido. I don't. That would be great though. Like I said about Indiana, if you don't want to sell it recreational medically, just decriminalize it. Let people carry an ounce on the streets, smoking it anyway,
Right.
and let people grow 6 plants or 12 plants at home for their own personal use.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with
Put
that.
some laws in place.
Right. It is women who are driving the wellness revolution in cannabis.
Yes, the
Tell us about
wellness
it.
revolution.
Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
As more women embrace cannabis for wellness purposes such as stress relief, sleep improvement, and pain management, some brands are pivoting to meet their needs, creating products that are tailored to a health-conscious audience. From wellness-focused edibles to beauty and self-care cannabis products, the industry can tap into this growing demographic to drive sales and innovation into a competitive market. Women are leading the way in purposeful cannabis use, focusing on wellness goals like stress relief and improved sleep, said David Coy, CEO of Los Angeles-based cannabis discovery app Jointly. They're seeking out products that fit into a healthier lifestyle, and cannabis is becoming an important tool in their wellness toolkit. Jointly, which reports that 55% of its users are women, found that women are more likely than men to consume marijuana with their significant other. Also, among Jointly users, women experience a nearly 10% higher success rate than men when using cannabis for recovery and pain management. In our experience, women are increasingly sophisticated consumers of cannabis, using it with intention, Coy said. In 2023, women between the ages of 19 and 30 reported consuming more cannabis than men for the first time since 1975, when the University of Michigan's Institute of Social Research began its Monitoring the Future study. Formulating products that support women's lifestyles in formats that already incorporate into their daily routines, such as lotions, balms, and low-dose beverages, is key, said Chloe Stearman, Chief Operations Officer at Denver-based cannabis marketing and public relations agency Grasslands. Labeling something for women or throwing a pink or purple package on it is not enough anymore, Stearman said. Women consumers see right through that stuff, and we know what we want. The trick is getting executives for cannabis brands to listen. It's not always easy, but it's not impossible. I know that there are countless brilliant marketing and business leaders who are women in the cannabis space with really great ideas about what women want and need and the passion to bring those products to market, Stearman said. But at the end of the day, it's the men in the leadership roles who make the final call. As Chief Development Officer at Michigan-headquartered Exclusive Brands, Narman Jaris was able to create Nino's Naturals, a product that helped relieve her endometriosis symptoms. Jerus, I think it's pronounced, said her situation at Exclusive Brands is different from what most women in the cannabis industry experience because she was the one making the decisions. She knew she was addressing a need beyond just creating a product for herself. You think it's obvious, and then you walk into a room and start pitching to someone, and you realize that it's not, she said. Jerus encourages cannabis businesses to start thinking more about what women are looking for to treat conditions, such as endometriosis, menstrual cramps, and pain. It was really empowering to be able to create that when all the doctors and acupuncturists and holistic medicine people failed me, Jerus said. If they're not already targeting women, they're really missing the mark. Not only do women make up more than half of consumers of cannabis, but women also make the purchasing decisions at home in America. They're picking out groceries and appliances. Why wouldn't you be catering to them? Then there's Smriti Chaubey, founder and CEO of New Jersey-based Veda Warrior. She said her company's line of artisanal cannabis-infused cooking oils and butters use the principles of Ayurveda to promote healing. About 65% of Veda Warrior's customers are women. The company's packaging is gender neutral because Veda Warrior wants to be viewed as a wellness company, rather than a cannabis company geared toward women. Our whole mission is to research the ancient Ayurvedic scriptures to understand references to cannabis, said Chube, who is taking over her family farm in northern India, where the plant grows wild. Connected
I want to go there.
Yeah. Connected Cannabis is collaborating with Olivia Alexander, CEO of California-based Kush Queen, to celebrate International Women's Month in March. The companies have created the Queen of Diamonds box, which includes a lubricant, bath bomb, and 2 of its Jack of Diamonds sativa strain infused pre-rolls. Women have always been such a dominant portion of the flower market, but we didn't want to do International Women's Month in a contrived way, so it made sense to partner with Kush Queen. Women gravitate toward beverages at higher rates than men, said Kayla Weir, sales manager at Denver-based Fable, which makes intoxicating hemp beverages. At a recent tasting event the company held, 36 of the 49 people attending were women, and all who purchased the canned drinks were women. Our demographic is young, middle-aged professional women. We really consider that in our language, and we want our product design to focus on females. Well, hey ladies, happy International Women's Month. What are you toking on to celebrate?
I know what Mrs. Weedman's toking on. Some Blue
Some
Zushi.
Blue Zushi.
International news. Colombian president urges Congress to legalize cannabis amid rising drug cartel violence. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has urged Congress to legalize cannabis as a strategy to combat escalating drug cartel violence. He proposes that regulating the cannabis market would reduce the influence of illegal armed groups and generate government revenue. This initiative aims to address the challenges posed by drug cartels and improve public safety. However, the proposal faces opposition from conservative lawmakers concerned about potential societal impacts. The debate continues as Colombia seeks effective solutions to its drug-related issues. How will Germany's recent election impact cannabis policy? Germany's recent federal election saw that the conservative CDU-CSU party win the most seats but fall short of the majority, likely leading to a coalition government with more cannabis-friendly parties like the SPD. While CDU and the CSU has criticized cannabis legalization, the coalition is expected to support it. Germany's cannabis market is growing, and with adult use legalization has increased medical cannabis prescriptions. Cannabis no longer is on the narcotic list, boosting production and research despite opposition. Cannabis policies seem to remain in place. Legalizing marijuana was Justin Trudeau's greatest accomplishment, polls of Canadians find. A recent poll reveals that Canadians consider Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's legalization of cannabis as greater accomplishment, with 52% supporting it. The policy outshines other achievements like pandemic handling, social service expansions, and gun control. Legalization enacted in 2018 is credited with providing a safer, regulated market for cannabis without increasing youth consumption. The move has been largely successful, with the Canadians now purchasing cannabis legally. Medical cannabis industry is en route for Bermuda. Joshua Santucci-Smith of the Bermuda Cannabis Association advocates for medical cannabis framework in Bermuda that aligns with international regulations. He stresses the health-based approach, focusing on patient access and treatment to Bermuda. Cannabis licensing legalization was blocked by Britain in 2022, but the local government aims to review cannabis laws with international treaty constraints. The approach, similar to Jersey and Guernsey, would prioritize medical use while adhering to UK obligations. The UK can earn, though, $1.5 billion annual revenue and savings by legalizing marijuana, report finds. A new report from the Transformed Drug Policy Foundation suggests that legalizing cannabis in the UK can generate $1.5 billion annually. The figure includes $1 billion in taxes and $300 million in savings from reduced criminal justice costs. The study highlights potential benefits such as job creation, 15,500 jobs, and eliminating most of the illicit cannabis market. Three legalization models are discussed, with the commercial model providing the highest revenue. The full report stresses the need for responsible regulation to replace the current prohibition. Greek cannabis operator Curity Pharma secures cultivation licenses. Greek cannabis operator Curity Pharma has been awarded government operating licenses for cultivation operations in the country. The Athens-based company has invested 20 million euros, roughly $21 million here in the U.S., in a facility which spans 6,700 square meters and the Laversia Industrial Park, according to Tuesday's news release. Good for you, Greece. That was international news. It is Lent.
It is Lent.
Last Wednesday was the start of Lent, March 5th.
Yep.
How can cannabis
help you?
Get you, because Lent is, you're going to tell us about it. So,
yeah.
But How does it get you through this time,
Yep.
these next 40 days?
Gives me the munchies, so I don't think it would really help me.
We got the munchies. Got these delicious lollipops.
I know. Eat up. Last week, Christians celebrated Ash Wednesday and the start of Lent. This time is observed in many Christian traditions, including Catholic, Lutheran, Moravian, Anglican, United Protestant, and Orthodox. It is usually a 40-day period, which echoes the time Jesus spent fasting in the desert. The time is thought to symbolize testing, trial, and renewal. In addition to self-reflection, those who practice their faith believe you should give something up that you love. For some, it is wine or alcohol. For others, it could be something more. Cannabis use during Lent, a traditional Christian period of fasting and spiritual reflection, is a complex and controversial topic, requiring careful consideration. While some may view cannabis as incompatible with Lenten practices, others argue it can potentially aid in spiritual growth and personal reflection when used mindfully. Studies suggest cannabis can be used as a replacement for alcohol and can improve overall health. It offers a range of benefits for those seeking to reduce or eliminate their alcohol consumption. CBD and THC drops are becoming popular substitutes, providing natural relaxation without the negative side effects associated with drinking. Unlike alcohol, which can lead to dehydration, impaired judgment, and potential long-term health risks, cannabis promotes relaxation and improved sleep quality without causing hangovers. Studies suggest cannabis may help individuals maintain alcohol abstinence, with some patients reporting it as an effective substitute. The trend of replacing alcohol with cannabis is growing, with daily cannabis use surpassing daily alcohol use in the United States for the first time. Cannabis-infused beverages are also on the rise, offering a diverse range of options for those looking to socialize without alcohol. For those dealing with chronic pain or anxiety, cannabis may offer relief without breaking Lenten commitments to abstain from other substances. Medical marijuana users have reported significant improvements in quality of life, pain levels, and overall functioning. This could allow individuals to focus more deeply on their spiritual practices without being hindered by physical discomfort. Cannabis can promote introspection and heightened awareness, which aligns with Lenten goals of self-examination and spiritual growth. However, it's crucial to approach this mindfully and avoid using cannabis as an escape or distraction from the purpose of Lent. I think that is a wise bit of advice.
I think so, too.
I'm going to follow it.
You know who the only actor was to outsmoke Woody Harrelson?
Cheech Marin.
No, I don't know if he ever smoked with Cheech, but Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, she's a baker.
Yeah, I guess on the what was the movie? The Hunger Games. They were co-starring together, and Woody Harrelson and her were smoking, and Woody Harrelson said, "Hey, slow down, Jen. This ain't Jamaica." And Jen was all excited. Said that was like when I was 21, 22. And I was like, "Oh my God, I just outsmoked Woody Harrelson." It was such
cute.
a big moment for her.
Pat herself on the back.
Yeah.
Good job. Good
Yeah,
job.
right?
Then she passes out.
Everybody, if you're listening to this episode, we had a couple technical difficulties.
Yeah, just a couple.
Twice
Smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah, that too. But that wasn't because we had some technical difficulties. Twice our recording program shut down. So if there is some like crazy little like blurps during this, we do apologize. But I wasn't about to re-record. We had a lot of good info. It happened like 40 minutes in the first time, and then happened another like 30 minutes in. And it's like too late. We're just gonna go with it. So if you see a couple little blips and blurps throughout this episode, that's the reason. Well, hopefully it won't happen next time. But Miss Weedman, you got anything else to say?
That's a very good lollipop.
Thanks, Berwin,
I'm
for the
enjoying it.
lollipops. We appreciate you out there. Thanks for always throwing to the cause, everybody. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades. because a ninth decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.